Without farmers, we wouldn't have food security. Insurance gives farmers peace of mind by providing them with innovative insurance solutions so they can continue to do what they do best.
Good day and welcome to the role of insurance in the economy. I'm FIFI Peters. In the third episode of the series, we explore insurance in agriculture. And South African farmers have recently faced extreme weather conditions, namely the floods in KwaZulu-Natal and Eastern Cape, and on top of other climate-related risks. So how then can farmers protect their produce and feed an increasing population while competing against these adverse weather events? Joining me to answer this question and more is Daniel Stevens. He's the head of agriculture at Santam Limited. Daniel, thanks so much for your time. Just reflecting on the summer season that for most South Africans is probably the best time of the year. For farmers, not so much because of some of the risks associated with summer. Talk to us about some of the key risks farmers face during this period.
Thanks, Fifi. I think to start off with, the agriculture is going into the winter season now. As you know, the winter is predominantly wheat that's being planted. Your summer seasons are your summer crops. For example, the maize, soybeans. But yeah, the risks especially in the southern part of Africa, it's dominated by hailstorms. Your central Free State area, also broader in South Africa as well. So the risks that we cover specifically is around hail damage, frost, flood, as well as drought, locust damage, where farmers need to protect themselves. I must also just mention that the farmer has various ways they can protect their own risk. Insurance is one way. Another manner is to put up hail nets, for example, or if a farmer has sufficient spread in terms of the number of farms, the farmer will accept that risk. So see the insurance element as a risk mitigating tool in order for the farmer to manage their own risk. So going into the summer season, as I've said, that's it's a great risk for the farmer, sure, obviously, because as we know, during October, November, December, it's large hailstones hit the country in various parts, and I think previously those events were a lot less frequent. I think with climate change and everything attached to that, events are certainly we're seeing it more frequently, as well as the severity. Sure. Which obviously from a farming point of view, that is your bread and butter. You're growing not only to feed the country, but also to feed yourselves. It's your business. Sure. So if you get wiped out by one of these storms, surely you'd want to have some level of protection in order to remain in business.
Sure.
So I think that's pretty important.
But historically, if you can just speak to us about some of the trends, the weather-related trends that you have seen and the impact on farmers, as you say, I mean, this is their bread and butter essentially, but what have been the historical impacts and perhaps how severe have they been?
Yeah, we've certainly seen in the last, I would say, 8 years, from a crop insurance perspective, that the weather, the frequency, as I've mentioned, is a lot more, as well as the severity. In 2022, we saw a period of about 3 months, October, November, and December, where there were claims reported every single day over that period. So that's 90 days. It was even more than 90 days of hail damage over that period. And it significantly impacted both farmers and obviously from an insurer point of view, in terms of managing those claims that's part of the service that we deliver to our clients. From a Santam point of view, we've got a history going back many decades because we've been in the business, so we do track how the environment changes. We also work with international reinsurers also just to have a look at the changing weather patterns and how that impacts on both the farmer and then obviously from an insurance point of view, that experience gives input to our pricing and our rating and actuarial models that need to cater for the changing environment. So again, just a comment on the frequency and severity. We've certainly seen that change over the last few years.
Sure, and perhaps it's not likely to change for the better, just given the increased incidences of climate-related events. But you mentioned that you do cover crop insurance specifically, and perhaps you can talk to us now about some of the products that are available for farmers and how you discern what you need.
Yeah, we distribute our products predominantly through brokers. About 90% of our business is through brokers. The products that we offer cover hail damage, damage to crops as a result of frost, locust damage, flood, drought. So the product is a comprehensive product. We essentially have a hail product as well as what we call a multi-peril or MPCI product, multi-peril crop insurance. That's a bit of a broader cover as well. Also very high risk. I think those are the main products offered. There are some other nuanced type products. We obviously cover fire on crops as well.
Sure.
And that's essentially the perils that farmers can buy insurance for in order to mitigate their risk.
Sure. But perhaps a deeper question into how you determine exactly how much cover you need as a farmer. What would you say the rule of thumb would be there?
Yeah, the farmer determines what he wants to insure his crops for. So the prices are governed by commodity prices. So the price of maize, the price of wheat are really globally known. So the value of the crop is determined by that price. So depending on how much the farmer is producing, whether it's 4 ton, 5 ton, 6 ton per hectare, he would use the commodity price or a similar price in order to determine what he wants to be insured for.
Okay.
Essentially the value of the crop.
I see. And in terms of the pricing then, if we can just get a comment on that, just given the fact that some of these risks that farmers face have been facing over the years have increased, has that in any way affected the pricing?
Yeah.
If you can comment on that.
Every year we look at the experience. I think from a crop insurance point of view, we don't look at it from 1 year specifically. Sure. We use historical data because it's a very volatile business. You know, the weather is volatile. So 1 year's experience may or may not impact pricing. I think what we do try and do is keep it as stable as possible because of the fact that we use historical data. The change in the overall frequency and severity is smoothed out to a certain degree. So yes, you know, similar to motor insurance or building insurance where you have changes in rating, from a crop insurance point of view, we would also take the claims experience into account in order to rate every season going into the new season.
Sure. Let's talk about the claims process then, exactly how that unfolds and what kind of information farmers need at that point.
Yeah. The claims process, I mean, essentially if there's an event, let's say a hailstorm, either the farmer or the broker would lodge the claim with Santam. We would send out an assessor. We work with a few hundred external assessors around the country in order to assess a claim. We also have our internal crop insurance advisors that also do claims assessment. As you can imagine, it's a very technical role that's being played because you need to determine what the value is of the crop that's going to realize after the damage has occurred.
Sure.
Santam is also the only insurer that has a farm where we do experiments on, so we simulate hail damage in order to determine what the ultimate damage is, the assessed damage is. Because from a plant point of view, there's also different varieties that are coming out every single year, and they grow different. And so it's important for us to be able to understand what the impact is of a hailstorm, as an example, on the outcome of the crop, and therefore be able to do an accurate assessment in order to put the farmer back into the position he would have been had there not been a storm. So they would lodge the claim with us, we would assess the claim, And if the claim is accepted, we would essentially pay out that claim to the farmer.
All right. Just given the environment that we're in right now, in which a lot of things have become expensive and things are tough, and in most industries, the first line item that you look to cut back on for most people, households and even companies, is insurance. Maybe if you can just give us the bigger picture as to what the insurance landscape in agriculture is looking like right now. Are you finding that more people are insuring more of their farms and more of their produce, or are you seeing the toughness of the economy starting to bite?
We're certainly seeing the toughness as well. I think it's important to note not every farmer, as I've mentioned, takes out insurance. You know, our numbers show that only about 40% take out insurance. Especially the last season as well, the commodity prices that have increased helps the farmer, but then at the same time, the price of fertilizer, the price of diesel, all impacts on a farmer's margin. So times are tough, and we certainly do see farmers that don't take out insurance because of a financial burden. The prices of the input costs have increased, and in some instances the insurances have also increased. I think the farmer is a business person, and I think any business out there are affected by economic factors, interest rates, inflation, just the cost of living, which impacts margins. And again, farmers are no different. They're also dealing with the same issues.
There's other things that farmers can also do to ensure that their entire harvest, as it were, is as protected as it could be. Just give us a bit more color on that as we wrap.
Yeah, the main ones is really where the farmer has sufficient risk spread out around the country, so he's got more than one farm, as an example. Obviously there are some of those, but not everybody's in that fortunate position. I think the main risk mitigator is the hail nets that we experience, because South Africa is a hail-prone environment. So really the hail nets, but that requires quite a significant capital investment from the farmer. And not all farmers have funds ready available in order to pay those. And the numbers are a few $100,000 per hectare in order to cover your crop. So insurance is a more viable alternative, and I'm speaking maybe from a biased perspective, but surely it allows the farmer to be able to manage their risk and be a little bit more certain around the cover that they purchase in order to ensure their sustainability.
And does having a hail net or not affect your chances of getting insurance from a Santam or not?
No, that doesn't affect the chances. We obviously assess each risk, each application, and that's just a factor that we would consider. A farmer may have a hail net, but then also buy hail insurance, because hail can also damage hail nets, depending on the type and quality of nets purchased.
All right. Well, thanks so much for giving us the insights into agricultural insurance and exactly how it works from a farmer's perspective. Daniel Stevens, he is the head of agriculture at Santam Limited. And from myself and the team, it's goodbye for now.
Without farmers, we wouldn't have food security. Insurance gives farmers peace of mind by providing them with innovative insurance solutions so they can continue to do what they do best.